Welcome back, everyone, to the PACT Mantality podcast, episode 7. Today, I've got 3 brothers with me who have all completed the PACT Mantality Level 1, Man's Journey of Self-Discovery, and Level 2, Going Deeper. Throughout the Level 1 journey, we dive deep into the male psyche in a way to understand ourselves on the deepest level possible. We then go on to Level 2, which is shining a light on our darkness as men. Fellas, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Paul.
Right, so Harry, do you want to introduce yourself, brother?
Yeah, I'm Harry. I'm 25, just a local lad, and yeah, my life events have led me up to the point of trying to discover who I am, and that led me to Paul and the Level 1 course.
Is right, brother, is right. Adam?
Yeah, I'm Adam. I'm 34, and I was just living a cycle of self-abuse, drink, drugs. You had Leon last time, and I took part in his program, which kind of helped me on this journey.
Yeah.
So that's kind of led me down this road of growth.
Brilliant, brother. I'm really looking forward to leaning into to each of the stories today. And Ben?
Yeah, I'm Ben. I'm not going to disclose my age. What led me to Paul and PACT? Found him on Instagram. Come across one of your posts, didn't I? And
Yeah.
as soon as I seen it, it was just a fucking light bulb moment in my head. Just relate to it straight away. That time in my life, I needed it. It was a big injection and a big smack in the face, I suppose. Like, you need this. I felt like the course was designed for me by the time I finished it.
Yeah, boss is right. Right. Let's. I always start with a bit of a check-in, but I'll just run over it about what we're going to be discussing really on the podcast. We're going to be talking about the work that we've all done on ourselves and about the Level 1 and Level 2 journeys, and really about the importance of doing men's work and about the importance of stepping up to take on the roles that we're now taking, and really the ripple effect that doing this work has had on each of our lives, really. Because it's quite profound. I know you're all stepping into your own leadership roles, if you like, like nutrition and addiction and mind coaching and therapy. So, I really want to lean into them stories, fellas, and how that's playing out for you as well. So let's have a check-in. Let's we always have a check-in like on PACT.
Yeah.
What you've been up to the past couple of weeks, because I know that you've all just finished your Level 2 journey. Just let me know what's been going on, and then we'll get into knowing you on a deeper level then for the viewers. Okay, so we'll start with you, Harry. Yeah,
so I'm not really working at the moment. Doing a little bit to like get the money to get by, but really every day is like an opportunity to go deeper, and I've really been like just watching myself and what kind of triggers me and trying to like really like uncover like where this is all coming from, you know what I mean? So this is like the most alive I've ever felt. Like, don't let that take away from like how happy I am at the moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On paper it might not look like I'm doing too much, but like this is necessary, like this little bit of time that I've allocated to myself.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's been good, really good.
That's right, brother.
Thanks,
Adam?
I'm really good. There's been some outside sources that have been completely out of my control, kind of trying to drag me off path.
Yeah.
And it was up in my head. And that phrase, being up in your head, some people will just not have a clue what that means. But when you're aware of like how the conversations are going, and you being able to let go of things that are happening, and pull yourself back to where you actually want to be. So, we can all be on this journey and be positive and motivated, but things do come up, like whether it be through meditation or just life, and you've just got to recognize. So like I'm always in a good place, but that doesn't mean bad things happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just understanding like that. You've got to recognize it. You've got to deal with it. You've got to let it go, and emotions come and pass. So yeah, I'm in a really good place at the moment. And like looking forward to just carrying on. Just the journey will never stop now.
Yeah.
So,
That's right, brother. Yeah. Can't wait to get into it, man.
Yeah.
Ben, what's been happening, brother?
Yeah, so I've had a bit of a period off work. As you know, I was in a car crash. I had a slip disc in my back. And a year ago, I'd have probably just done nothing and wasted the time, to be honest with you. But this time I've like really turned the spotlight on myself and look like, what can you do? How can you use this time to improve it? Usually I'd have just gone to the gym, smashed the gym, but obviously because of my back I couldn't train. So I had to use me for my own personal self-development and stuff like that. I went to see Phil Steele, the man PT, if anyone doesn't know who he is. And I learned hypnosis off Phil. Done a hypnotherapy diploma off him. So at the minute I'm like really passionate about that at the minute. Like I'm still learning as much as I can about it. Just recently bought a shop with my girlfriend Laura. So we're still in the middle of decorating that and stuff. That's going to be like a holistic healing place.
Gosh.
Yeah, so all my focus on, all my energy on that at the minute is on the shop.
It's right, brother. It's right, man. It's right. For me, you know, I've just come off the back of 2 level 2 journeys with you lads, and I've started a new level 1 journey with a new group of men, which is it's a really deep group that I'm in with at the minute, to be honest. You know what the level 1 journey is like when men turn up, and you know we get into week 1 and week 2. You know what week 2 was like when we're doing power week. It's a super powerful week, and you know we've really been diving deep into myself again. Which I just, you know, as a man, I just keep showing up, and you know, I've took a step to have me noticing in me day job, which I've been a part of, and to really put my focus into PACT, because I feel like sometimes, you know, if we've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out of what we're doing, then we're not fully in, and PACT for me is, you know, it's like a baby. You've got to nurture it and you've got to water the seed and allow it to grow organically. And sometimes if you've got one eye in work on other stuff, you're losing time to nurture the baby to grow in the right way. So that's where I'm at the minute, fellas. And yeah, it's a big move. You know what I mean? To say that I'm a little bit uncertain and uneasy is an understatement, because you're stepping into the unknown, aren't you?
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's where I feel the growth is. You know what I mean? For all of us. So yeah, exciting times. Right, let's get into the juicy bits then, fellas. Let's let the viewers and listeners know. You know, let's let them know your stories. If we lean into, you know, your childhoods, how your upbringing was, and you know the men that you were putting yourself around in life, and the guidance that you've had to bring you to a point of getting onto the journey that you're all now on, of self-discovery, really. We start with you, Harry, and then we'll move on to Adam and then Ben. That good?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the best start of life really ever. Like my mum and dad both there. They made a boss investment just before I was born. Like they bought, like, my dad's a bricklayer and he built our house, so I grew up in a like really nice house in a nice area. Yeah, I've got a little brother. He's a year younger than me, and yeah, it's just like from a very young childhood, like it was just perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing to complain about at all. And then maybe like at the age of like 4 or 5, something quite significant happened to me. It was what you'd call a trauma, which I didn't realise at the time. And that's something I just battled away all my life then, and I just carried on, just progressing forward through life without really ever like speaking to anyone about it or dealing with it.
Yeah.
But so I can just carry on as if that wasn't there, and through my story, like obviously through school and all that. When I look back, I can notice like behaviours that were coming from that place of hurt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very self-conscious kid. Very, like, yeah, done some regretful things to people in school, but it was always coming from a place of like wanting to be heard or seen or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the class clown or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my life just kind of unfolded from that really, right the way through primary school. Yeah, just a deeply hair kid, really, who
Yeah.
never really, like, you couldn't see it from the outside, like, but there was a
you're
lot
wearing
going
a mask
on.
a lot of the time and playing up to the persona of what you thought everyone else wanted you to be accepted.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously in primary school, like, there's only certain occasions where that can come out, but obviously as I started getting a bit older, there was more opportunities to, like, basically fill my own ego. So secondary school, yeah, it's just like just doing proper stupid stuff, really, that would just, like, get a laugh off someone or something like that. Never really reached my potential in anything I ever tried. I was really good at sports, like every sport I ever tried, I was, like, just naturally good at it. But then this, like, inner voice of not being good enough got in the way every single time. I got to an alright level playing footy, but every time it could have, like, I was given an opportunity where it could have been a bit further.
Yeah.
The voice come in then, and it was just like, you're not good enough. So whenever I got trials for teams or anything like that, I was always doubting myself before I even got there and that, you know what I mean? So yeah, like, from the outside, I might have seemed like I was, everyone might have thought I had it all sorted out and that, but really it was like, there was a lot of pain, you know what I mean?
What type of, like, during your upbringing, mate, obviously you've said from primary school and then stepping into high school, you know, what memories you're putting yourself around? Because, you know, at that age, mate, we are putting the mask on and we're measuring ourselves up against other men, and we might be looking at our dads and, you know, we're trying to outdo people, you know what I mean? We're sort of put into that conditioning to compete at win at all costs and dog-eat-dog mentality, aren't we?
Yeah.
So what type of people, you know, what people were you putting yourself around, and what type of men was you looking up to?
So I was always attracted to, like, older, like, was always, like, impressed by older lads, me. So that's where I always found myself. And even when it comes down to sports and that as well, like, I was always competing at, like, a level older than me and that. And I just always wanted to be one of the boys, basically. So primary school, not so much, like, still very, like, innocent and that, like, everything I was doing. But when I got into secondary school, I wanted to be around, like, the art cases and the lads who weren't as privileged as me, who never had the best, like, upbringing. I wanted to be with them all the time, and I was half, like, trying to act out as if I was one of them, but I really weren't at the end of the day. Getting into loads of mischief and that, like, that might have been quite normal for the way they were brought up, but it was never really me, you know what I mean? But yeah, I've always been, hung around with older people than me, always. Like, even through school, most of my, like, close mates all left school by the time I'd reached like year 11, so then I had to, like, find mates of my own age and that, you know what I mean?
I think unconsciously we do that anyway, fellas, you know what I mean? Unconsciously, like, certainly for me as well, like, we're seeking approval from men older than us.
Yeah.
It's like built into us unconsciously because we're just trying to be initiated by older men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And be accepted and brought into society by them and seen as, basically, to be seen as a man. Yeah. You want to be seen as a man, you know what I mean? And then we can fall into the trap of showing off in front of people and becoming the big I am and getting up to the mischief, which deep down we know really isn't who we are. We're just doing it to play up to the crowd, aren't we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where did that lead you then, mate, in your, you know, your late teens then, in your early 20s? Because I know you're still only, what are you, 24? 25 to, you know, to be getting into this type of work at such a tender age. For me is, you know, it's incredible, and it gives me a lot of hope for the young men of this city when there's people like you stepping up, mate, and doing the work, you know. So what was your journey like there then, you know, your late teens, early 20s to bring you to where you are now?
So when I left school, I started partying loads. I probably already was while I was in school, but never really had much direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do after school, so I ended up going to college, just doing, like, BTEC sport. And yeah, it was more just a place to hang around with my mates and started going out loads. Yeah, that like I got into like partying loads. I just didn't really like see any sort of like direction for myself, so I was constantly like abusing my body really, and yeah, it was just like I felt like I had nothing else to do really until I got an apprenticeship doing electricianing. So I jumped from like not really knowing what I wanted to do, partying all the time, and now I'm on site doing electricianing, and I was around the same sort of people again, you know what I mean? So
do you feel like that sort of happens though, mate? Like we come out of school, we get pushed into certain jobs and roles as men. Like you go and do construction, or you go and do this. This is what men do. And we sort of fall into that habit of partying, of having no sense of direction. Sometimes we've got no men around us or older men to be able to guide us, and we're just sort of thrown into the deep end, and we're just trying to find our way, aren't we?
I think, like, I was thinking about this today, like, I think most people around me had high hopes for me, like, they could see that potential in me that I couldn't see in myself. So, no one really, like, felt like they needed to guide me in a certain way, because they must have thought that I had it figured out. Like, I was just an actor, really. I was just pretending I knew everything, and I never. And so really, I was just winging everything I ever done, really. Like, yeah. But I never asked anyone for help, because I always like wanted to make out that like I knew what I was doing, and
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely feel into that, mate. Like, you know, through doing a lot of work with men, and even through my own wounding, you know, you soon see that there's definitely an element of unworthiness within men not feeling good enough to take the step to go and forge a path in life that they want to take that step. And we have actually got the, you know, the power and the creative capacity to go and forge our own path.
Yeah.
And to make our own, you know, to make our own way.
That's what I realise now, like, but I never ever knew that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, which you're definitely on the path to doing that, mate, aren't you? So it's, yeah, you know, like I said, it's such a tender age, mate. It's incredible to witness. But we'll move on to you then, Adam. You know, let's get into your story, brother. I know you're a little bit older than 25.
Yeah.
I'm only 26.
Put 10 years on. So it's it was incredible meeting Harry, because those stories were so very similar. My mum and dad are perfect. And shout out to Mary and Ronnie. I mean, that they are the best parents ever. Brilliant childhood. Kind of got everything I wanted, but I didn't want for nothing, really. Everything that was needed and necessary, the holidays and, you know, the Rockport shoes in school, and, you know, kind of everything that, you know, to kind of fit in.
Yeah.
You know, primary school, I was like a perfect primary school student. And from a point of leaving primary school and going to secondary school, one of the things that I've now noticed was I was in St. Joan of Arc, meant to be going to Savio.
Yeah.
And at the time, my mum was saying that wasn't the best school, and, you know, at the end of the day, it's down to the individual. If they want to learn, they'll go to school and learn. My mum fought to get me into a school in Crosby, Sacred Heart. I went to Sacred Heart, but I was the only child from St. Joan of Arc going to Sacred Heart. So I went to a school with no friends, and that was a point. So from like the similar kind of trauma that Harry went through, all I wanted was acceptance from a group of friends, from a child's age, and every step from then, whether it was going home and away with Liverpool.
Yeah.
Wanted to fit in with the lads and the coaches, you know, someone to meet for a pint before the game, but obviously them environments, lots of other things come.
Yeah.
So like just wanting to be accepted, and that's like something that we kind of learn. Men just want acceptance from other men. to be appreciated and valued. And going through school, it was, again, just because I had no friends, it was acting the goat, being a class clown, making jokes. But in junior school, I was intelligent, but everything just got like kind of squashed to be noticed again. This was just all attention seeking to be, and like the good kids in the class did not want nothing to do with this fucking idiot, really. You know what I mean? And they were, you know, more grown up than I was, and I was childlike. I wouldn't say childish, but I was childlike for quite a long period of time, even up until, you know, say 14, 15.
And there's actually, you know, there's an element here of being hard on yourself as well at the same time, because for me, you know, we step into high school and we're quickly, you know, we're drilled into this is how you have to be. You've got to be quiet. You've got to shut up. You can't have fun. And, you know, we definitely, like, you know, you've got that in you, Adam, that you know, that it's a party that can be playful and have fun. Obviously, there's a time and a place for it. Sometimes in school, you know, school can be too far the other way. So it's, you know, honouring the fact that you have actually got that in you, mate. You know, that playfulness, that childlikeness, and owning that within yourself. It's amazing to see, you know what I mean?
It's still there now.
Absolutely,
I you know, I'm always witty with my comments and impact and stuff like that. And, you know, through leaving school, or 14, 15 years of age is when, you know, there was a group that kind of did accept me, or, you know, whether it was them accepting me or just fitting in at the time, and you start, you know, or I started messing around, and the lads would all throw £2.50 in each, and you'd get a 10 bar of Rocky, and that'd last us all the weekend. Do you know what I mean? And then what time are we meeting up? And it was all on the house phones then. Do you know what I mean? Before mobiles were even invented.
Before my time.
Mum, can you use the house phone to phone so-and-so? So then you'd ring them, there, man, a dancer is so-and-so there, and then you'd make the plans to meet up, and then the next thing we're all...
You ever have two phones in the house and someone will be on the phone while you're on the phone to your mates or the bed? You're like, get off the phone!
And I remember one time, so this is the first time where like a bit of trouble happened, and it was Matthew Street, maybe 15 years of age. We were all down there. We weren't necessarily out drinking, but there was drink involved, you know what I mean? But predominantly it was just there for a blimp, you know what I mean? 15 years of age. We had a bit of weed, and we were down this back alley, all skinning up, everyone's scaffing for each other, you know what I mean? Everyone's burning in, doing all bits. Next minute, the police just start marching down the road, and they were all like that, sounded right. They were coming because they'd seen it on the cameras, and they came to stop us. Ended up nicking one of my mates, took him home to his dad. The rest of us were all like, shit, what do we do? So like, we all scattered, left town, all goes home. And it was like Saturday afternoon, and guy gets home and was like, why are you home so early? No, it's just, you know, kind of trying to play it cool, but realistically, something had gone down, you know what I mean? Next minute, my next door neighbour knocks and goes, so-and-so's dad's been on the phone. He wants us to get down to his now. The lad who'd been nicked. It was like, arse chewing a toffee, do you know what I mean? Just on edge. Goes down to his, and he gave us a bollocking. Do you know what I mean? He did, and he was disgusted in all of us. And that for me, I knew we were wrong. Do you know what I mean? And that was I was scared, and I didn't want to do that again. But the lad who actually done it, he didn't change. So then we all just stayed on that path. Do you know what I mean? The next door neighbour, he actually kind of drifted off, and he didn't. But I stayed. Do you know what I mean? And carried on smoking. 15, 16, I think 16, 17, started cocaine for the first time again with the same individual. Now, I'm not pointing no blame to nobody. This is all my own doing, and you know this, and this is how it kind of works. But you know, it's like cocaine. Again, just doing it to conform to society.
We're trying to fit in, aren't we? We're conditioned to try to fit in and to seek to be connected to other people. So we just sort of fit into the societal norm. And one day we might just go, oh yeah, go on, give us a line or whatever. And then before you know it, you're sort of drawn into that lifestyle, aren't you, Adam?
Yeah, whether, you know, some people can do it every now and again.
Yeah.
And it has no effect on the life. I'm not saying it's okay or it is or it isn't. You know, you've got to learn yourself whether it's for you or not. And, you know, but for me, it was just the acceptance and having that you know, safe place to be around them types of men. So this particular lad was the same age, and then, like I say, 17. I was going to Liverpool games with fellas who were in the 30s. And these were all like friends and family, but they were all good people. Do you know what I mean? And you know, he might love a bet. He'd drink 12 pints before the game. He'd smoke ciggies and have a little spliff, and he'd get on the coke and whatever, you know what I mean? And I've taken a bit of each one of these guys and created my own monster. Now, they weren't bad people. They're all good people. They had it under control, but I just lost me way. Do you know what I mean? I've done some horrendous things that, like, on these breathwork journeys and meditation, you forget and you just pop up and you're like, that it's a boss journey to be on, but you've said it before, it's fucking painful as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's accepting what you have done and kind of, oh no, okay, I can't change it, but you know, I've done it, and you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, because we can get pulled into, like, you know, certainly, you know, as men, we feel a lot of guilt and a lot of shame for our past, for what we've done, and you know, we're only ever operating at the level of consciousness we're at that time, and you know, if we could do better, we would.
Yeah, we would.
But we're drawn into these circles of men, and you know, like you say, we're putting ourselves around older men. And you know, we were all drinking and the betting, and then you know, the drugs come out, and like I said before, you know, before you know it, you're hooked on going to the game, and you're just loving this way of life because again, we're drawn to this connection and community. But sometimes it can go too far the other way, where we do certainly become addicted to that way of life, don't we? To being around the lads and to being needed, and then quickly that can spiral out of control in terms of drug taking and stuff like that, can't it?
Like, I'm a barber, and like when 19, 20-year-olds come in and go, I'm just going to stay in this weekend, that was just totally out the question for me. There was never a weekend where I'd sit in. Every weekend. Now, I had a good job, you know, like, you know, earning good money. Yeah. And that's how we actually met. And I was taking home 200 quid a week. All my mates were on £40 EMA. And I was going out just spotting everyone, sorting it all out, you know what I mean? And then come Monday, my wages were going back to work again. Come the following weekend, same cycle. And that was, you know, kind of just it happened for 15 years in the end, you know, 10, 15 years. And it was just a cycle that I could never break. I didn't understand why I was doing the things that, like, come 2014, I don't know how old I was then, but I'd been working in Magaluf and Tenerife and working abroad, and you know, not glamorising nothing, but doing some stupid things while I was working away. Yeah, you know what I mean. And when I came home, I'd had enough in 2014. I went to doctors. They put me on all kinds of meds. I stayed indoors in my man's house. I literally didn't cross the front door for 6 months. Do you know what I mean? Because I'd had enough. And I just wanted to change. But then within 3 or 4 weeks of, like, after the 6-month window, going back out there, it all just started again, because I didn't understand what was going on up in here. And like, that voice has got a lot to answer for most men. Do you know what I mean? And our actions, whether it's through affairs or, you know, the actions that we've taken. You know, what as a teenager, if we can let these kids know how it manipulates them, the chances are they probably won't make mistakes, or not as many kids will make as many mistakes. And
but I feel like for that to happen, certainly is by men of our age and Harry's age, you know, doing the work, because they can only learn from the men before them. You know, if we can show them the way and help them not fall down the same pitfalls that we fell down, because, you know, there's masculinity's changing. There's so many things changing in masculinity, but young men are always going to seek older men. That's always going to happen. They're going to follow suit. There's some amazing things happening in this city right now. And I've got full confidence that, you know, we are reaching more kids than we ever have, you know what I mean? With this work, learning them emotional intelligence and you know, how to handle their emotions and mindfulness and embodiment. You know, we are getting these things into the schools, so it's special times with it in terms of what's to come for the kids. I'm excited for what we're going to be able to deliver as a city. But yet, was it only ever then, Adam, your addiction? Was it only ever then like the cocaine that you were using, or was it numerous other drugs? And why do you think you was actually using? Have you identified like a specific trigger for that?
Again, I think it was, so there was always it was always like a group. So whether it was the group in the bogs sniffing, or whether it was the groups chilling, having a spliff. So like it, for me, like the addiction was smoking weed. You know, I call it cannabis now because I'm not familiar with that terminology no more, to separate myself, and you know, it's not sticking and using. You know, lemo, this and all that. You know what I mean? So I use the correct terminology. So it's like disconnected from it. But like it, you know, the addiction was smoking, and after a period of time, I'd not drink or use coke for a period of time, but then it'd start asking for it again. You know, you've had Leon, and like I was, like I say, part of his program, and it made us aware of how the voice talks and stuff like that. And it'd creep in and ask, just have a little blowout this weekend, but then you'd have a little blowout and it's fucking 3 days later. Do you know what I mean? So like it had total control, or I was never in control, where now I am, and I will never ever have another drink or touch drugs ever again, because I know how I've been manipulated by it now. And I'm just on it. And yeah, so addiction wise, it was not a couple of substances, but it was me. The way I look at it now, it was seeking dopamine hits. Whether, doesn't matter where I got it from, but it was always after, like, or the brain or the body wanted more dopamine hits.
Which is, we definitely spoke about it before, Adam. You know, we get in this pain pleasure cycle, don't we? And I did give it to Lee when he was on the podcast, like, about spinning it a little bit as to, you know, not, again, it's similar to trauma. It's not why the addiction, it's why the pain. So sometimes when we're certainly addicted to things, we're taking them to escape the pain that we're actually in, because, you know, like you say, you're in pain, you're seeking dopamine. So we get stuck in that sort of cycle of seeking to escape our reality. And I like to always, you know, I don't believe anyone gets out of childhood unwounded. And it's individual and unique to each person. And I do believe that addiction certainly is tied in a lot with childhood, with things we've learned in childhood. I'm not for one minute saying that, you know, some people have had a perfect childhood to them, and then they've been off of the line, and then they fell that into the trap there of taking it forever, you know what I mean, and becoming an addict. But I definitely, you know, I do feel like there's a big element that is not to be missed in terms of how we can address addiction by looking at the pain beyond the actual use, you know what I mean? It's like, why the voice? Like, if you've got the voice, okay, where's that voice come from? You know what I mean?
And why
is the voice there? Why is it there? So it's going even further than, okay, I recognise the addictive voice, but why is it there? Where's that come from?
I think quite possibly, like, the traumas and stuff like that, but I'd never accepted it until I spoke to Jay Wheeler and went on a bit of a journey with Jay.
Okay.
And okay, although I had the addiction under control, that was still speaking to me, and it doesn't pop up anymore. Now I've addressed it and like kind of dealt with it and put it to bed. You know, all right, we have conversations with it, but it's not like it. I don't know, like it just was. You know what I mean? I think it was just a time frame. And it was become that much of a routine and that habitual that it was just
the
life.
voice was a habit then.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just
you
life,
could recognise it. Yeah, that's I think you're in a you know, you're doing some amazing work, brother, and you know, any addiction, to be able to actually identify the habit and to break it, mate, can be incredibly challenging. So you know, keep up the good work and what you're doing, brother, in terms of that. But I just want to bring the big fella in, who's he hasn't left me much room on this couch. So
That's fine. Breathe it in there.
You on the way too, lad? Now let's bring Ben into it. Let's lean into your story, Ben, from obviously your childhood to you know, to your teenage years and your 20s, and what's brought you here now, brother. You know.
Yeah. So early childhood. I only learned something last night about my early childhood, and my mum and dad separated when I was 2 or 3. I only learned about it last night. They were separated for 2 years, my mum said. So a lot of my memories about my early childhood are with me nan and granddad. And my mum as well, obviously. But growing up like in my nan and granddad's house, because although I was a kid, I didn't really think what was going on, know what I mean? I didn't know. I thought my outfit was in work, know what I mean? I didn't really think deep into it, innit? So we lived there, I mean, in granddad's, and it was fucking boss. I was in my element, to be honest, because my granddad, even though he was like the biggest wind-up merchant in the world, he was my idol, know what I mean?
You're getting the best of everything there,
aren't you? I was spoiled. I couldn't do wrong for me nan. Like, me and our Vicky used to stay there, my cousin. And for brekkie, she'd have like a big bowl of porridge, and because I was the favourite, I'd have like fucking whatever I wanted. So I'd have like pizza for brekkie.
Because I was the favourite.
I'd have like pizza for brekkie. She'd have a bowl of porridge and that, know what I mean?
Yeah.
She still goes on about that today, actually, yeah. My granddad, just the biggest wind-up merchant, know what I mean? I think I've got a little bit of about him now, because like my younger cousins now are in the family, I wind them up something rotten, do you know what I mean? If you got them all here, I'm sure they'd be saying, he's a fucking pain in the ass, you know what I mean? My granddad used to have one eye. He was a one-eyed boxer, my granddad.
Was he? Yeah.
Mad into his boxing, but he had one glass eye.
Yeah.
It's not many of them. But yeah, he used to. I remember sitting in the living room one time, and my granddad going, "Yeah, I bet you can't drink this glass of juice." So I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "If you can drink this whole glass of juice, I'll give you £1." And I was like, fucking hell, full glass of juice for £1, easy work that. And his mate was sat there, and his mate goes, "Tell you what, I'll throw £1 in as well." So I'm like, fucking £2 to drink a glass of juice, where sang is that? So I started swigging this juice, and as I'm swigging, I've got my eyes closed, and I just opened my eyes and I looked at the bottom, and his fucking eye was in it. Just look at him, shit myself through, and that's just the type of person he was, you know. He'd go asleep on his chair, and he'd put his eye there on like the arm of the chair, and I'd go asleep, and he'd go, "I'm watching you." So he'd be sat there, snoring his head off, and we'd all be sat there, they're good, know what I mean, just not moving. So they used to take us on all sorts of holidays and that, know what I mean? My early childhood was brilliant. I can't fault it, to be honest, know what I mean? My mum's an absolute angel. She just deserves the world. She's incredible. I've never wanted for nothing because of her, do you know what I mean?
She's doing an incredible job, the women, don't they, to be fair, considering, you know, just how much that they can actually tolerate and get through for the children's. It's inspiring, mate, for me, you know, the length that they're willing to go to, you know, to make sure we've got what we need, you know.
Like, I know there's times that she's been skint as well, like over the years when we were kids growing up and that, and I've never, like, I can't remember the cupboards never being full, you know what I mean? But I know now that she was missing bills and getting herself in debt, so she had the cupboards full, know what I mean? And it's just some woman that, you know what I mean? It's typical Scouse Martin, I suppose. I'm sure everyone can say something like that about the Mar as well. Just incredible woman. Like, she's another big role model for me. The main role model was definitely my granddad. I didn't really have much of a relationship with my dad. And I spent a lot of time and a lot of wasted energy, like negative feelings towards him. Do you know what I mean? And I could never put my finger on it. But I've always had this feeling of like unworthiness about me, like Harry said before as well, that feeling that just followed me throughout my life. But if you'd have asked me a year ago, I'd have gone, fuck no, it's just the way I feel, know what I mean? And we went on a little breath journey in PACT when we done a deep breath work. And I went on like a timeline of my life. And things like, I visualised the timeline of my life and visualised different ages through my life and stuff like that. And every now and then, like at traffic code, just go bang. There's a moment you need to look at, know what I mean? So I'd look at it and I'd go, what the fuck's that? And it'd pop up. I remember I got let go by Kirby Boys. So I was, 10, 11? Going into year 7, 10, 11. And this thing just popped up and I like, so sort of like looking at myself in the third person, like 10-year-old me. I remember Kirby Boys letting me go and I felt a cunt because like there was 2 of us who got let go and all my other mates got through, you know what I mean? So I already felt like, oh, fucking hell, I feel awful already, embarrassed, you know what I mean? I remember coming off the pitch and my half fella saying, you fucking shit, like, you shitting at no in front of all my mates. I remember like, obviously feeling hurt at the time, but I was like, fuck, just get me in the car, stop shouting at me in front of all my mates, you know what I mean? Then just carried on with my life, thought nothing of it, didn't think about that moment for 20 years. But when we went deep about feeling unworthy and stuff like that, that moment just flagged up and I was like, fuck it, that's the moment.
Yeah.
That's the realisation there, but...
We try so hard, Ben, to, you know, certainly to please our dads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We want our dad's approval, and then as we get a little bit older, we're sort of, certainly with my lad now, you know what I mean? You're comparing each other against each other. He's eyeing me up a bit, you know what I mean? I can see he fancies his chances soon. We'll have little wrestles and that, and we'll have little competitions. I can't beat him in a sprint, but I can do more press-ups than him, you know? So I keep that one for now. But we unconsciously, like, they seek to prove yourself against your dad because he's your test of masculinity sometimes, you know what I mean? He's the man you're closest to, and probably he's been your idol for a lot of men that the dad is. But would you say, you know, that experience then with your football, Ben, is what's affected your relationship with your dad?
Now I could say, yeah, it has. Like I said, again, if you'd have asked me a year ago, I'd have gone, know what I mean? But now I've like actually turned a spotlight on myself and looked at myself and like not just focused on my outer body, like going to the gym and lifting weights or whatever. I've looked on myself and looked within. I've learned a lot about myself and a lot about my childhood and stuff like that. Like in a trauma and that, like that was a traumatic experience for me. Even though I didn't know it at the time, or I didn't know it 6 months ago, never mind. Know what I mean? I didn't know that until we went on that journey. I know that was a traumatic event for me, and I know that, well, I believe that your traumatic events as a child comes out later on in life as an adult. So it'll come out as like anxiety or for me it was depression, know what I mean? It wasn't just that moment, there was a catalogue of things that happened, you know what I mean?
It's like, it's something called, which, you know, I'm looking into a lot at the minute, it's like developmental trauma. So you've got obviously big, like what your class is big T trauma, which is, you know, a big event, could be a car crash, or you've witnessed something or been a part of something you shouldn't have been, or you didn't want to be. And then you've also got like developmental trauma, which, you know, can come from childhood, from not feeling good enough, from feeling unworthy, from being told certain things by your parents, like that you're not good enough, you know what I mean? And certainly with the football, you know, you've probably, we all know this with football, with our fathers, is I've certainly put it on my lad in the past about not being good enough, and really making him aware that I've done that. And that I have possibly created trauma. But I think trauma is something that gets stuck in the body, so when we're able to acknowledge it and finish the process of trauma and shake it out of the body, because if you imagine like a deer being chased by a tiger or a lion, you know what I mean? It'll run and then it'll shake, and then when it gets away, it'll shake it out, and then it'll start eating the grass or whatever it's doing, grazing again. And it's let the trauma pass through its body. But what we seem to do, you know, as humans, we get stuck. We sort of freeze, don't we? But we never see that trauma through. So, you know, it's definitely like, you know, something that I try to highlight to my lad with the football. And, you know, if you go and see some of the football lines, mate, with the kids, with the dads, you know what I mean? It's rife. In football, it's like it turns men into monsters, where they're just not, you know, that competitive edge, that warrior within them takes over, doesn't it? And he sort of like, they don't become your dad. You know what I mean? It's sort of frightening.
Swearing at the ref and that.
Swearing at the ref, it's an under 5s game.
Ref's about 14 as well.
That was me, Ron.
In relation to the shaking, Paul, just so I don't forget, on the level 2, when we went deep with that breath work, I remember you coming over to me. I was like half having a seizure convulsion, and I said this to Ben, and like, you put your hands on me, but I knew I was safe. I knew there was nothing bad happening. But I was like, my hands were all cramping up, and my legs were going, and my jaw was going. It would have been scary if that had been the first time I'd ever done it, and I'd have snapped myself out of it and tried to come round. But I knew, understanding that trauma's held within the muscles and stuff like that, I just knew this is stuff getting released. So I just sat with it and carried on, like shaking it out, you know what I mean? So it's fucking powerful stuff. Like,
absolutely is, brother. It gets lodged within us, and that's why, Ben, it sort of like, it's come out at a certain age for you, mate, you know what I mean? Where you felt it, and then it has come out as this depression for you. So let's go from where we were at then, brother. You know, your relationship with your dad, and then what you've been like in your teens and early 20s to where you are now.
Yeah, so that obviously, that, like, I can't just pin that year, like 10, 11 on just my dad, know what I mean? Because like that year, 2 years before it, I've been wishing for a brother or sister for years, and then along came Lisa, my sister. I remember getting told, like, my mum and dad didn't find out what they were having and stuff like that. I was fucking buzzing, thinking, I'm getting a little brother. And then the day she was born, my nan comes down the street, she goes, your mum's had the baby, guess what it is? And I was like, a boy. And she's like, no, a girl. And I was like, you bastard, yeah. But sorry, Ging. But yeah, now we've got a boss relationship. Me and Lisa, she's boss. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Boss.
But yeah, when I was 11, there was a bit of another trauma. I'd come in playing from outside, playing with my mates and that. And I'd left the door open. And Lisa was 18 months old, I think she was, and she ran out into the street. And my nan had ran out after her, and by the time my nan had picked her up, a car had hit them both. It killed my nan instantly. And Lisa was like, she was in hospital for a long time, know what I mean? But she was, 18 months old baby, you know what I mean? That's all I'd ever wanted, a little brother or sister. And obviously, I was ridiculously close to my nan, know what I mean? So, like, that was massive for me. But the weird thing about it was I didn't cry, and still to this day, I don't know why, you know what I mean? I just hit him, went bang, put it in. Because I remember my granddad being there, and my granddad was like, I remember him getting cushions and stuff like that out, and blankets and that, and ambulance seemed to be there dead quick. But I remember, like, looking around, and I just want someone to hug me. But obviously everyone's in the trauma themselves, you know what I mean? I'm just like, didn't know what to do, because I was like, sort of, at the time, I was like, fuck, I left the door open, and then I blame myself for a long time, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I can't just pin that, just that year on my dad, know what I mean? But that year, 10, 11, was absolutely huge, and that turned me from, like, I lost my innocence a little bit that year, do you know what I mean? Like, the child innocence, like, before then, I didn't give a fuck what anyone thought, you know what I mean? For that age, I was just like, you wanna play with me, I'll play with you, know what I mean? Let's go and fucking climb a tree, let's go and do this, whatever. I was up for anything, know what I mean? But then, as soon as I went into year 7 from there, so it was like about impressing people and that then. But like what Harry said earlier, I fucking winged a lot of school. So like from year 7 till 9, I was in top sets for everything, but I was fucking clueless. And I tell you why I was there, because I sat next to some kid, some big ginger kid called Stephen Quinn. Honest to God, the kid was a fucking genius. If there was something that he didn't know, mate, no one knew it, honest to God. And I was sat next to him all the time. So obviously I was like that, fucking copying his work all the time. And I'd love to know what he's doing. How
you done your shots?
Yeah, no, do you know, I got caught, right? It was in the stats in year 9, right? And we're doing mock tests. So I'm fucking looking at his work and writing it down, and he takes all the papers and that, and he comes over to me and goes, Mr. Williams, can we have a word outside? And that? So I've gone, yeah, so I'm gone outside, and he's gone, have you got your paper? And I was like, I give it in. He's like, how did you give it in? Yeah, why did you put Stephen Quinn at the top then? So I copied his name as well, and I was like, you stupid. So that fucked me school up after that. I was fucking back down the bottom sets and that again. And then going up to like when I was 16, I think that's when I proper found boxing. Because I had to struggle with anger, because, again, going back to my dad, he was a confrontational fella, my dad. Only now, when I think about male role models and stuff like that, I can look at who did he have. You know what I mean? And I know that like he didn't really have many around him. So I know we looked up to like Graham Souness and Steve McMahon and Liverpool players who were like hard cases. So my half fella then tried to step into their shoes, and he was managing like kids teams my age, and but it was basically all my mates, know what I mean? So he'd try and be Graham Souness on the sideline. He was no hard case. My half fella's a funny man. That's who he is. That's him. But he's not a hard case, but he tried to put this persona across that he was. So it was like, he was very confrontational. So if I confront him back, it'd be like, fucking, he put me straight in my box, like, basically, you know what I mean? Like, don't fucking confront me, I'm your dad, blah, blah. So then confrontation for me was like, I can't confront someone because they don't like me.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? So I had zilch anger, none at all.
And it's, you know, it's such an important energy for us, you know, certainly as men, you know, that we need to, you know, sometimes, you know, rightly so, it can be feared.
Yeah.
You know, because if let off the leash, it can cause destruction.
Yeah.
But it's the energy that gets us, you know, that gets us up every morning, that disciplines us, that drives us on our quest to our purpose. You know what I mean? It's the driver, isn't it? It's the accelerator to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think like, definitely like the relationship that we've all got with anger, you know, certainly as men in this city is, and rightly so sometimes because of the way maybe a lot of the men play out in this city, and certainly with our young lads, it's feared, isn't it? Because of what's going on. You know, we got lads fucking killing each other. There's stabbings over the fucking £100 or whatever. You know what I mean? Or sometimes over nothing.
Yeah.
So it's really like a misguided energy for me.
Definitely.
That, you know, we should be looked at, you know, with you know, which we should really, it should be looked at with respect.
Yeah.
But definitely harnessed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I like the way, you know, you brought your dad into it, and you've acknowledged the fact that, he was probably looking at it as, I think in the past, men were taught to be tough.
Yeah.
And he had to have that bravado about them, and they weren't allowed to show emotion, was they? Or tell you they loved you or hug you.
Yeah.
Where it's becoming a lot more of an acceptable trait in men that people like, you know what I mean? And it's actually who we are.
Yeah, definitely.
Beyond all the mass, isn't it? Because we all just want to love and be loved, really.
Yeah. I think that's where we can learn off women, I suppose, because women are fucking boss at showing emotion and telling people are proud of them and, like, being vulnerable. You know what I mean? And men are shit at it. Just, obviously, we're getting better now. People like you in the city are changing it, you know what I mean? And like men who are stepping up for themselves and that, you know what I mean? We're changing the face of the city, and we're hopefully changing the face of men as well, you know? It's
you'll
good to be
still
vulnerable.
always have them men that say, like, they won't agree with this kind of actions that we're taking. They'll be like, you know, there's a phrase for it, isn't it? Like, you know, oh God, I can't think, but like, you know, there's the God, I can't think of what
Man, gone black now, hasn't it?
Yeah. But like, not sissies, because that's a derogatory word to say, but like,
they look at what we're doing
like the millennial children, like, you know, they're all, they won't stand up for themselves. Snowflakes, that's the one. Yeah. You know, we could be the like snowflakes, but
snowflake generation.
Yeah, but we're not. We're like we're proving that this kind of work is real. You know, and it does have a ripple effect.
Absolutely, brother.
And you know.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, it is.
When you feel it inside you, you know.
You
it's
just
right,
know, and you can't tell anybody what it's like.
You need
Like,
to show them,
they just need to like start the journey, but you can't even dip your toe in. You've got to go all in.
Yeah.
And once you're in, and you feel it, and you feel the energies, and you feel the emotion, and you address the situations, and you rectify the problems. There's no denying how powerful it all is.
No, I agree, brother. It's definitely, you know, it's a word that can't be denied once tasted and experienced. You know what I mean? Once you get a taste for it and you find that knowing within yourself, you're like, I know this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's carry on then, brother, where we were at.
So just as when I left school, I got fucking hand-wrapped a good job, being a youth worker in I won't say what school it is, but in a school, like an after-school club, anti-bullying club. I got a gift wrapped to me, to be honest. And when I went there, I was the same as Harry. Like, my mates were always older than me.
Yeah.
So when I went there, at first I was made up. Fuck, I'm going to work. I've got a job and that. Know what I mean? And then I'd go there. I was only there 2 days a week, but I was too immature for a job at that time. Know what I mean? I hadn't really grown up yet, to be honest. So when I was going to work, I was like, fuming that my mates was fucking sitting off by hours or playing footy and that. Know what I mean? I was like, why the fuck am I going to work and they're just sitting off? Know what I mean? I'm meant to be the 6 weeks off school now.
Yeah.
So I started like not going, not turning up and that, you know what I mean? And I do regret that to this day, but I definitely learned from it, because from that, I struggled for a little bit, to be honest. I was bouncing from like building site, doing this, like you said before, that's what men do, innit? That's what men go into construction, do this, do that. So I started doing that, bouncing from different job to job. And And then when I was coming up to my 20s, I applied to go in the Navy. I had to wait 3 years. Fucking long waiting list, that. And then finally got in. Was in the Navy for 5 years in my early 20s and that. But at this point in my life, I'd sort of developed a relationship with anger a little bit then, but it went a healthy one. It was like, I liked violence and that, you know what I mean? And it was like, where my anger previously was 0, it weren't 0, 10, 20, 30, it was 0 or 100.
Yeah.
So I'd either be like, still no boundaries, or I'd be fucking like losing my head, you know what I mean? So the Navy life sort of fitted me a little bit, because job aside, go out on a piss with my mates who are from all over the country, or some from Scotland and that as well, know what I mean? Go out on a piss, lads from all different council estates and all different gaffs. Have a bevy, fucking have a fight at the end of the night, you know what I mean? I was like, this is fucking boss, this, and I pay for this, you know what I mean? Lads holidays here, there and everywhere.
We love it, don't we? When we're a little bit younger, you can end up getting into that where you just love a bit of a fight, and then that's the end of it, you know what I mean? And we seek that little bit of danger, don't we? Because we get a buzz out of it.
100%. It was just, that was my dopamine. My dopamine buzz was violence, you know what I mean? And some fucking stupid situations I got myself into where it could have been a lot worse, do you know what I mean? But like, even now, like, I can cope with my anger now. Now I have got levels of it because of PACT. I obviously can't say too much about PACT. It's a fucking hard sell, innit?
Can't say too much,
but when we were talking about anger and dealing with my anger and stuff like that, we done an exercise, me and you, on it. Remember? Done an exercise, and it allowed me to take myself to 100 and then bring it back down. And I remember like, the vision in my head was like, see me anger going over like a cliff and like a lasso going around it and me pulling it back down slowly. You know what I mean? So I did take myself to my edge, you know what I mean? Because that's what we do every week, innit? Took myself right to my edge, brought it back, and that for me was like, that's an aha moment, you know what I mean? Bang, you've nailed it. So now, with my anger, I have a good relationship with it now, do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, like, it might sound a little bit cheesy, but I know that there's a lunatic inside me, you know what I mean? And I used to be scared of him. But now, I embrace him, because that lunatic's going to protect my family. It's going to protect people I love. It's going to protect me. It's allowed me to set boundaries. So when I couldn't set a boundary beforehand and people would like walk all over me or take the piss or whatever, now they won't, because I won't allow it. Because I'll embrace that lunatic inside me, you know what I mean? And I can control my anger. I've got levels to it.
Got to certainly harness it and keep it on a leash, because we can quickly turn to red mist if we don't can it, you know what I mean? But no, it's amazing to see, brother, the journey you've been on up to now, you know what I mean? Is there anything more you'd like to share on your story up to bringing you to reaching out for the level 1 journey?
Yeah, so I reached out. So basically, in 2 days, it was exactly a year ago, I tried to take my own life. And I couldn't tell you before that how long I was feeling like that. But I just remember like getting up and going to work and like driving in the car and like I have a big lump in my throat, and I was like, what the fuck's up with me here? Thinking, I'm just stressed out, it's COVID, it's this, it's that, and I was just throwing excuses at it. It's this reason, it's that reason, and every time I was driving to work, I was just like, well, I'm going to burst into tears here. Or I'd be fuming, you know what I mean? I'd be like, what the fuck's going on with me? Like, well, everyone's got problems, like, it must just be me, you know what I mean? Got to a point this one day, I got up and I was going to the gym. And I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not feeling like this no more. This one particular day, I was just rock bottom, bang, gone, finished. I remember getting in the car, and as I got in the car, I was like, fucking, I'm not coming back from this, you know what I mean? Like, let's just go, let's just see where I end up in that. And I went down, my gym's in St. Helens, so I was going down East Lancs, which is just a long straight road. And I'm just going, and I remember, like, I hadn't felt nothing for ages. No emotion, you know what I mean? I didn't feel things, so I was like, I wonder if I put my foot down, I'd get scared. Like, just feel something, you know what I mean? So put my foot down, nothing, 70, 80, 90. I remember the speedometer thing coming to 1, 2, 3. And as I've looked up, I looked and I knew there's a roundabout coming, and there's a tree there, about a 10-foot tree, fucking massive, big fat thing. And I was like, just close your eyes and you won't feel that no more. You know what I mean? That feeling, bang, gone, you'll dealt with it.
Yeah.
So in my haze, obviously, I've looked in the mirror and like, my eyes are just grey, dead, gone, you know what I mean? So I've shut my eyes. And then next time I open them, I opened them and I looked, and I was like 4 foot away from the bank from the roundabout. And for like about 20 seconds, just been like looking around, going like, am I dead? Feeling myself in that, know what I mean? Because you don't know what you feel like when you're dead, do you? So I was like, fucking hell, am I fucking like slap myself in the face in that, know what I mean? I was like, am I dead? So I got out the car and it was just deserted. The road was just deserted. Got out the car, I've just sat on the sideway and just sit there like, what happens next? Does fucking God come and get me? Does the Grim Reaper come and get me? Does what happens? Know what I mean? Does a door open? Like what happens now? Now I'm dead in it. About 2 hours went past and a cyclist come down the road. He's like, "You all right, mate?" And when he said that, I was like, I just burst into tears.
Yeah.
I don't know why I burst into tears then, but I was like, "Fuck, I'm not dead. What the fuck? What happened?" Still to this day, I didn't know what stopped me until again PACT when we done another breathwork journey, and I took myself back to that night, to that morning, and exactly the same. Woke up, visioning, but looking at myself this time, looking at myself from like above myself. Took myself into that journey again, looking at myself, getting in the car, exactly the same things happened. But then as I got in the car and driving in East Lancs, I went back into myself.
Yeah.
And like, I know this is going to sound mad for you, but I had my hand on the steering wheel, like I drive, fucking typical Scouse lad, innit? One hand on the steering wheel and I'm driving, one hand on the steering wheel, but this time I had a ring on, my granddad's ring, like, it's like a big fucking knuckle duster thing. And I'm looking at it, but in my head I'm going, why have you got a ring on? You're going to the gym? Know what I mean? I'm looking and thinking, why the fuck would I ring on? As I've looked, like I said then, when I looked in the mirror and see me grey eyes, I've looked in the mirror and my mum and Alice were sat on the back seat and I've been like, the fuck are they doing here? Know what I mean? So then I've like sort of shook it off and then looked again and he was still there and I've gone like, what the fuck's going on here? So as I've come into the roundabout, I've shut my eyes and done that, like I said there, shut my eyes, and when I've opened them and I've looked around, they weren't there then. I didn't have the ring on. I was like, and I got out the car and I sat on like the sidewalk again and I've come out to myself again this time. So I'm looking at myself in like the third person. As I'm looking at myself, my granddad sat there with his arm around me. And I was just like, I remember that night in PACT, and when it come to the sharing circle, I was just like, if you can imagine, I didn't know what to say. No, I was absolutely gobsmacked, and I genuinely believe that's the reason I stopped. I believe that like I looked in the rearview mirror and my subconscious has gone, look what you're leaving behind. And then when like the worst meant to happen, I believe that my granddad's been there for me and stopped me car. He was there for me when he was alive. Know what I mean? So that was unbelievable experience for me. That was powerful. It was like it's a phase in my life where I'm not looking for answers are finding me. Know what I mean? And it's unbelievable.
Boss, lovely fellas, lovely. Thank you for sharing all your obviously, you know, your stories that brought you on to the, you know, brought you to PACT, really, brought you to the level 1 journey. I'd like to now just, you know, bring it all in, really, to, you know, obviously start on PACT. Obviously, you know, throughout the level 1 journey, we focus a lot on our behaviours, our actions, you know, our decisions, how we're showing up in the world as men. And we dive deep into the male archetypes, you know, which is power, awareness, compassion, and transformation, you know, which is basically, you know, it's the king, the lover, the warrior, the magician archetypes. And we look at how they can be inflated and deflated within men, within the male ego, if you like. You know, how was that for all of you? You know, what was it like when you first shown up? And how was the level 1 journey for you all, you know what I mean? So we start with you, H. You've been quiet over there for a little bit, mate.
I've just been listening, haven't I? I couldn't even really speak, mate, when I first walked into PACT. Like, I knew it was exactly what I needed. We done a bit of a share when we first got there to explain why we was there and that, and I wasn't suiting myself. Like, I knew there was a deeper reason in that, but just that initial share on its own was like, that was probably like the pivotal point for me. Like, just listening to other men, some were in the 40s, probably maybe even older, talk about like stuff that happened to them when they were a kid. That made me realise that like I've got to start like really like taking this serious, that like maybe there was something that's brought me here, you know what I mean? So yeah, the thing that I loved the most about the course was the gap in between every single week. So when you're introduced one energy 1 week, we had a week to go home and really like start thinking about that energy. And every single week when I come back, I felt like I'd like shedded a new layer and I'd like really discovered something about myself. So
because that's what we're doing, aren't we? We're peeling the onion, really, you know what I mean? We're peeling the layers back on ourselves till we get to a point where we're like, we get them aha moments throughout, and the reason we get them is because we're creating that safe place for men to come, to share their stories, to be seen, to be heard, you know, to be held. And, you know, for me, certainly, you know, being around men, and, you know, it's our medicine. brotherhood for me is absolutely our medicine. It's the time when I feel most alive when I'm around all the lads, you know what I mean? It's so special. Tying that in with, we do, and which I like to keep a secret, to keep the elements of surprise, but, tying that in with initiations and taking men to the edge and making you feel a little bit uncomfortable, you know what I mean? And you just don't know what's going to come. How was that for you?
Yeah, there was, in some of the energy weeks, like, I was proper nervous going into them when I knew what the energy was, because I didn't even think that I had that inside me. So it is literally an initiation. It's like, it's showing you what you've got and what's available to you at any moment, at any time, you know what I mean?
So what masculinity is, isn't it? Showing you what masculinity is, what is available to you if you take purposeful action, isn't it?
And everyone's different, like, everyone's energies are like all imbalanced, like, so some people might have found weeks harder that I found easy, you know what I mean, and vice versa. So it's all necessary, it's all crucial, like every single energy that you work with when you're there. So I think I said to you on the last week of level 2 that I feel like I absolutely launched myself into every single thing that's in there, and the growth that has happened in me since level 1 to now, I feel like a totally different person. I'm not too sure, like, I don't know exactly, but if you went there and you did just dip your toe in and you went half-hearted, I'm not too sure whether you would have the same sort of growth. So it is an opportunity just to leave everything on the line and just the stuff that comes to you once you open them doors and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's special.
It's incredibly powerful, isn't it? And, by like week 6, we've got sort of our own unique internal map, haven't we? That is unique to us because of where we are with the energies. We sort of, we finish up with finding direction in our life and finding purpose, and we find clarity on where we want to take the next step and the next stage of our life, don't we?
Yeah.
And why was that for you? Because I know that you're leaning into like the nutrition side of things. You're really knowledgeable in nutrition. Some of the things you've shared, you started a page on Instagram in the past. Let's tell us a little bit more about that, brother.
So like, my journey started about 2 years before PACT, and I was changing a lot about my life that wasn't working for me. But I'd probably say my diet was one of the biggest things. Once I switched that up and I was starting to eat the right stuff, that's when I felt like the biggest difference. Like, my mind was just so clear. Like, everything was just like on point compared to what it had ever been in my life. So I found like a big passion in the nutrition and decided that's what I want to start doing. I'm doing a nutritional therapy course at the moment. And during PACT, obviously at the end of my course, I'm going to be a qualified nutritional therapist, but that's not really enough for me, like just seeing one person in an office, like on a one-on-one. So during PACT, I had an idea to, because I'm interested in it as like a bigger picture. It's not just one thing that's going to save you, it's finding that balance. Obviously you're teaching like the mental health side of it. Yeah. Your nutrition, movement, hydration,
it's embodying all of it, isn't it?
Like,
the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. I like to they're the 4 pillars of life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If we can tick all the boxes within them, then we're doing well. You know what I mean?
So that's where I'm taking this. Obviously once I get my qualification and that, I've got like a good baseline to start trying to offer knowledge and that to people. You know what I mean? But I just want to be a bit of a gateway and a portal to let other people discover this is all out there for them. And obviously at my age now, I'm hoping that's a bit of an inspiration to some lads around a similar age, that it's you don't need to wait till you're in your 30s and 40s when you've been carrying all this pain and that all your life. It's never too early or too late just to get into it now.
Absolutely, that's lovely, that, brother.
So I've got big ideas and that, but just everything's just in the trial phase in the pipe.
It's in the baby stages, mate, isn't it? And I'm really excited for what's to come with you, brother. We've still got that one-to-one to do, haven't we? So
I know,
let's get it on the whiteboard and get it mapped out, mate.
Yeah, that'll be good start for me. That.
Yeah. Boss, thank you for sharing that with us,
Nice
brother.
one, Paul.
Adam, let's lean into your journey, brother, on PACT then, on, you know, what brought you onto PACT, and you know, what were the special moments for you?
So, again, obviously on a recovery program, and I'd been casing them to get on board. I wanted change in my life. For about 6 weeks, kept messaging. There was no space, and then all of a sudden, like, I'd got accepted on. And then that weekend, I was just on Instagram mooching, looking. You know, obviously I've known Mark Carl for over 30 years, and you know, just looking at other avenues to kind of, you know, take up time as well as the gym, and like, obviously all these millions of people around the world don't just go to meditate for a laugh. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be something in it. I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? And like turning up, and again on Instagram through Mark, bumped into the likes of Wayne Marshall, Jay Wheeler, Kev Deves. All these people had put them working, and stumbled across your page as well. And like, again, I never ever believed in any of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? And like, I genuinely believe we crossed paths at 6. I was 16, 17, you were 18, 19. And we crossed paths then to then fall into this moment. Do you know what I mean? A lot of pain is within them years. But like, I don't think if I didn't know your face and know you, I would not have reached out to you. Do you know what I mean? And I seen the page, and it was like, you've been accepted there. I'd done one session, and I just needed more. And like the title itself was what like just grabbed me, like Journey of Self-Discovery. I didn't know who I was, because I'd always been, you know, I'd Men Without Masks and all that. I'd stumbled across these pages. I just kept watching more and more and more information. Never read a book in my life. Do you know what I mean? And I've read a handful of books at the moment, and honestly, when I say I've never read a book in my life, I've never opened a book ever. Like Chin Paradox, Understanding, and like when I stumbled across you, like, you know, the first message, and it's just the situation. You know what I mean? It was like, I understand shy kids don't get sweets. I had to ask. Do you know what I mean? And you gave me the opportunity, which I will forever be grateful for. And you know, the recognition of the voice and how it was manipulating me was one thing. But then all this other information from them people, like I say, Jay, Kev, yourself, Wayne, Mark, all this put together is what is helping me become this better person. And like, these archetypes, they play out so powerful in your life. I didn't like the energies, and you know, how you go about your day. Do you know what I mean? And like Harry said, then you get introduced to one, and then you're noticing it all the time throughout the week. So like, I've got no doubt when you were on Men Without Masks, like you'd learn about it, but there was no time to like understand it. We've got this time to like digest this information and live with it before the next one comes in. Like, Ben will know, and we've said like, what's coming next, what's gonna come next. Do you know what I mean? And like, you just cannot predict.
Gets crazier and crazier, doesn't it?
I can't wait for like level 15, you know what I mean? And it's you know, we're only at level 2, you know, so I'm made up. You've handed your notice in, so you can put the work in, you know what I mean? It's just, it's unbelievable. You know, like, there's no denying what goes on when you can't dip your toe in. You've got to go all in. You've got to go all in. You've got to commit. You've got to put the work in. When you commit and put that work in, the fucking rewards that you get from when you're working with yourself, it has me speechless.
Well, men are turning up, Adam, and like you said, you know, we're searching for like meaning. We're searching for identity. We're searching to be needed. We're searching for purpose. We don't know who we are. we don't know what direction we're meant to be taking, and we just need, you know, sometimes we just see that person or that, you know, that man who can give us that little bit of guidance, you know, because essentially it's you that has to do the work.
Yeah.
People are just pointing you to you know, I always like to say I'm just pointing people and men in the direction, and it's for them to walk that path if they want to take that path. You're just showing them parts of themselves, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, it's undeniable when you do the work, the benefits you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know, what was like the defining moment for you where you knew this is what I want? You know, because I know you're stepping into, like, you know, working with, you know, maybe doing your own program, you're looking into things and you know, with an addiction program potentially.
Yeah.
You know, where did that come from, and where's the defining moments? You know,
so like it was when we can't say too much. It's hard, isn't it?
Can't say too
but
much.
Like when you're taken to your edge, it is the hardest sell. But look, you know, if you feel a calling, get involved.
Yeah,
you know that's
absolutely.
it. And like, for me, I know there's so many people in pain. Do you know what I mean? And if I'm relatable to one person, now there's already 5 people that, you know, that have helped. You know, there's for me, if you can just get out there and be a face for people to come and speak to and help them on their journey. You know, again, not name dropping, but, you know, developed a brilliant relationship with Jay and Kev. Do you know what I mean? And together, like, you know, there's going to be something quite unique in relation to, like, embodiment, and, you know, we've done one-to-ones. And yeah, it's I can't put a finger on it, but there was just a calling that I had, like, you know. And I think there's being a textbook counsellor, but when you've got experience in that fucking pain, it's relatable.
Yeah.
So when we finished level 2, I started looking into it, and I've just enrolled on a level 3 substance abuse and addiction counselling course, which is the equivalent to like an A level, or old speak A levels. So, like, you know, getting the qualifications under my belt, you know, carrying on the work on myself, get time under, get some, you know, credibility, continue to help these people. Now, one of these people are they've just hit 100 days. And, like, the joy that I got from that, never mind the guy himself, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm looking forward to just carrying on, putting in the work and continuing the journey, and, you know, developing this opportunity for people to come and, you know, share the stories, dip the toe in with breath work, and you know, take them on this journey and go and discover yourself with Paul or Carly, if it's a woman. Do you know what I mean? Go and discover yourself. You know what you need to do. You know, go and put the proper work in. Do you know what I mean? Get within yourself and understand why. You know, why you played out the life that you did. You know, it's all well and good being able to be in control, but until you know why you've done it, and like, really digging deep and putting that work in, I don't think you'll ever be at ease. Yeah.
And I think, Adam, you know, when you can come to a place like you have with, you know, you're sort of leaning into doing something you love, you know, like we all are, we're leaning into doing something we love. You're getting paid for you know, for helping people. And, you know, you're looking to consciously design your life. You know, which we're told that we've got to fit inside this little box of what we're told to do. Like, you're a man, you're this, you go and do that type of work, and then you think, okay, I've got to go and be in construction, or it might be a barber, or it might be this or that. But now you're taking accountability, you know, and that's what the course will bring. You know, you're taking accountability for what direction your life as a man up to this point has took, and where it's gonna go from this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're stepping into that, mate.
Yeah.
And you know, it has the ripple effect, and why shouldn't you be able to, anything you have learned, be able to share that? You know what I mean? Because we're all here to help each other, fellas. You know, it's not a competition. we're all here to help, you know, help uplift other men and help them rise, you know what I mean, and give them what we never had when we needed it, you know what I mean. Well, thank you for sharing that journey with us.
And again, I'm just so grateful for giving me the opportunity to get on board and
thank you, brother.
Really find myself. It's fucking unbelievable.
What's your glowing, brother?
I was on the bed yesterday.
Oh,
6 minutes.
You was in the gym, right?
I wish I went there when he said he's been on the fucking bed. Kept that one quiet, didn't he?
So Ben, let's listen to your PACT journey, brother. You know, from turning up, room full of men, week 1, and you know, to how we finished on week 6, and what's been happening since. Obviously, you've done your level 2, and I know that you're stepping into your own men's work now, aren't you?
Yeah. So before I started PACT, I'll be completely honest. If I'd have looked from the outside before I hit, like I always say, hitting rock bottom was the best thing that ever happened to me because it allowed me to reinvent myself.
Yeah.
So before that happened, if I'd have looked at something like PACT, I'd have gone, fuck that, they're fucking mad, them. Like fucking hippies and that. Know what I mean? That's what I'd have said, know what I mean? Meditating and that, what's that all about?
Yeah.
But obviously then hit rock bottom, and then done work with Phil, who changed my mind. He's completely changed everything about my mind. Unbelievable what he does. And then found PACT. One of your posts on Instagram, one it was just light bulb moments again like that. Turns up week 1. And even then, like, I'll be honest, when I walked in, I was like, fucking hell, with all these fellas, know what I mean? Like, and we've spoke about it before, haven't we? Like, Scouts lads automatically go, what the fuck, what's he got on? Or,
but instantly judging other people, like, I don't like the look of him. He looks like a fucking weirdo. I will look like I'll get on with him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We all do it as soon as we enter the room, don't we?
Yeah, like, if you've got the same t-shirt on, you'd automatically go, I like him, know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, could be someone sat there in a fucking big mad genie suit, who's boss, know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've learned that now, do you know what I mean? I've learned that now, so like, that was my prejudgmental self, know what I mean? So I've walked in there and I've been like, fuck, it's not really my comfort zone, this. Like, I'm well out of my comfort zone here. Sat down, felt a little bit awkward that we'd done this share. I remember sharing loads. And then whatever else we'd done that day, which I can't say. Whatever else we'd done that day. And then I remember driving home, and I remember I was speaking to Marty. Drove home with Marty, and I was like, fucking bit pissed off at myself then. He was like, why? I said, because I know I didn't give that 100%. I know that I pushed myself, but I know I didn't go to my edge there, you know what I mean? So I was half fuming. And then when the second week came, fucking bang, straight in 100%. And from there, I just went, just took off. Again,
Still going now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Honestly, just flying. But like Harry said before, whatever we do that week, whatever energy we'd work with, I'd go and live that for a week.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'd embody it completely, and I'd live. I I was that. You know what I mean? I was that energy. And beforehand, like Adam said before, I didn't have a fucking clue what the energies were. You know what I mean? Like, if someone had told me that, I'd have gone, "Fuck you on about?" You know what I mean? But after learning about them on, say, like week 1 or week 2, whatever it was, I would then live it for a week. Do you know what I mean? And I'd embody it, and from there it becomes growth. And I've realised now, like day 1, week 1 to day 6, week 6, I'm a completely different person. And I'm also aware that, like, on this journey, as we call it, it's like every time you level up, life will give you another challenge. That's a tester. That's the test. Like, how far have you actually came then? Because old you wouldn't be able to get past this challenge, but can new you? And once you pass it, you're like, fucking, it's right. Know what I mean?
And are you committed?
Exactly. And that's the rewards of your own work, like you said before, and that's the rewards of your own work is massive, but sometimes you might not realise it until something happens, until you're tested and that.
Yeah, and it's acknowledging them, it's acknowledging, you know, it brings awareness to them triggers that we have as men, you know, to them projections, to our conditioning. And, you know,
understanding where the triggers came from.
To understanding where they came from, because, you know, we can look directly in the moment and go, okay, that's triggering me. But when we look back, you know, beyond the trigger is an emotion from a certain point in your life that was triggered of maybe a feeling of not being worthy.
That
or
was a
not
massive
being
turning point for me, learning how to just keep stepping back and trying to. I remember asking one day, is there a process of working your way back from that point and then going, and it is. It's quite simple when you just sit in your head for a couple of minutes and go. And you can pinpoint a reason why.
Yeah. And we're just shining the light, you know, that like on the level 2 journey, Ben, we're just shining the light.
Yeah.
You know, which we say on week 1, level 2, you know what I mean? We're just going to shine the light on our own darkness. And will be the toughest thing you ever do. when you're doing like the shadow
Definitely.
work, you're looking at your darkness, because we do fall in, and you know, a lot of people do fall into this one-sided world of all positivity, but it can never be one way due to polarity. There's always got to be a positive and a negative, you know, a light and a dark. And when we can honour the darkness within ourselves, we can become whole, because we can learn to love all of who we are.
Definitely.
And then we can love other people, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Once we can love everything about ourselves,
Definitely,
without disowning or projecting or, you know, casting our shadows on other people.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're flipping out on people, aren't we?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
really, what's that saying about us as men?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what
The
I mean?
the way people say don't dwell on the past, I think that's quite a harmful statement, because sometimes you have, like, I've lived all my life doing that. I'd never look into the past, and I've been carrying stuff with me the whole time, and I wasn't even aware that was there, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you need to recognise that it's there. I'm not saying, like, obviously,
You don't want to live
in
there,
that,
but
no,
you
you need
I
to know
think
it was there.
To acknowledge it, don't
it's
you?
a massive part for me. You know, it's a game changer. You know, it's called reflective awareness. You know, let's have a little look back every now and then of how far we've come.
Exactly.
Instead, you know, we're always competing against ourselves all the time, you know what I mean, to be better. And we can, as men, you know, fucking hell, we can be so hard on ourselves, you know what I mean, about where we're up to, about how everything's going. And when we take a little step back and, you know, maybe monthly or weekly, whatever you want to do, and have that reflective awareness to how far you've actually come, and you look at the times in your life of when you was struggling, and how much, you know, you're in a better position now to be able to hold that as a man, to be able to hold all of who you are, hold your triggers, hold your fear, hold your jealousy, you know, hold the addiction, hold that voice that wants to show itself and wreck the gaff, you know what I mean? Being able to just hold that as a man, that for me is healthy masculinity.
Yeah.
You know, in a nutshell. Being able to hold everything in life and stay firm and present and potent and purposeful in how you're acting.
Yeah.
Sounded good, that, didn't it?
Yeah. You got that written down?
That was somewhere here. Hi, fellas.
Write that down quick.
But right, I'm just gonna ask a couple of quick questions before we finish.
Multiple choice or...
I do it all the time. You know, I just like to put people on the spot at the end, so don't get too nervous. It's not too heavy. If you could just give 3 words to, you know, just to sum up your experience on PACT. So we start with you, Harry.
Transformational, euphoric at times, like you just forget where you are, and life changing. It's like, it literally is. I don't think anyone who'd go on that wouldn't take anything away from it. Like, even if you change your life a little tiny bit, it's life changing, isn't it?
Lovely, brother.
I'm in.
Oh. Adam.
Powerful, emotional, I want to say brotherhood, because you just create friendships that are so unique. I said this to Ben on the way down here today. I've still got all my mates who are fucking lunatics. Do you know what I mean?
Not me, is it?
Yeah. No. But like, I know if I need an answer, I've done it at the share circle when shit hit the fan. You know what I mean? I know I've got people that I can phone and get proper advice from now. Like, when that scenario happened, I phoned my other mate and went, lad, you'll bang him. Don't you know what I mean? And that's not the advice you need. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, when you can speak to people who understand, and like they're just lads, or they are just the lads. They're not aware of, like, you know what I mean? And you, like Terence, I love Terence. Shout out to Terry, you know what I mean? Like, I love Terry to bits. You know, John, yourself, Marty. You know, it's just so another word, unique.
Yeah.
It's another one.
Right, brother. Yeah. Thank you, brother. Ben.
I always seem to be last on these things, and all the good words have gone, man. Special. I'm going to change one and say life-saving. Definitely life-saving. One more word. I've just got to say emotional. Emotional, yeah.
Nice, mate.
Emotional, but special. Definitely special.
And I just want to bring in a point, Ben. We sort of didn't speak about it then. We started on the questions, but you've also stepped into, you've opened, like, you're opening a shop with your missus, aren't you?
Yeah.
And it's called, well, I know you're calling yourself the Mindful King, as in she's the Mindful Queen.
Mindful Queen, yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that, brother?
Yeah, the shop's going to be called Heal With Love. Basically, it's going to be like a holistic healing place.
Yeah.
Laura's got so many rings to her bow. Like, she's unbelievable. She's a witch, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I mean in a good way, and she'll know what I mean in a good way as well. She's counseled people before as well, like through lockdown and stuff like that. She was like mentoring a lot of women one-on-one, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, she also does Reiki and massage and loads of beauty stuff that, like, the list's endless, do you know what I mean? Tarot card reading. So she's then inspired me to look at myself and see what I can do, because I've always wanted to help men. I've always wanted to, but I didn't know, A, if I could, or B, if anyone wanted me to. You know what I mean? That feeling of unworthiness, I suppose, again. But that's gone. So yeah, I've done a hypnotherapy diploma with Phil. So now I'm a fully qualified hypnotherapist. I've already took a few sessions on with people and stuff like that. That's already having results. It's something I'm very passionate about. The shop, it's not open yet actually, but we are thinking about doing one-on-ones now. You know what I mean? Getting people in, because we've got like a little Zen den, we call it, set up and that in there, you know what I mean? Ready for people to come in and get hypnotised or speak with Laura or whatever they want to do, you know what I mean? You're more than welcome to come down. And when it is open, listen, it's not just going to be like a business turnover, like come in, you have to have a session, come in and have a cup of coffee and a chat. You know what I mean? Because that's massive for people, innit? Just come in, have a chat and have a brew, you know what I mean? Might even do your bacon sarnie.
Sorry, brother. Yeah. I'll hold you to that, mate.
Yeah.
So one more question for everyone, okay, before we wrap it up. What would, if we can just give one sentence for this, fellas, yeah? Because I know we're running over time slightly. What advice would you have for any man listening, or any woman who knows of a man that may be struggling and may need to, start to look at himself and maybe take the first step on his journey of self-discovery? What advice would you have for them?
All I'd say is, like, life is so precious and so short, so why would you want to carry that pain around with you for the rest of your life? Like, even if it's only something little and you feel that niggle inside you that you need, you want it to go away, like, just like, if anything that we spoke about today, like, speaks to you, just go for it. Like, there's no point carrying around, like, anxieties and traumas and that are basically dictating your life, you know what I mean? There's no point in bottling all your feelings up, like, that, what you said before about, like, the older generation calling us snowflakes, like, just makes no sense, does it? Why would you want to go to the age of, like, 50 and that with, like, unhealed trauma inside you? So, just go for it. Like, you've got nothing to lose and you're going to meet some boss people while you do it as well. So,
boss do it. Lovely that. Adam?
Again, if you've anything that kind of resonates with you, don't let that noise inside your head say that we're all weirdos or we're in a cult, or because it's not. It's just fellas getting together and being real and being vulnerable and being open, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just get involved.
Yeah.
Get involved. That's it. Like, again, you can't sit with, like, keep letting these emotions take control of you. When you learn to control and recognize what's going on, it's not all fun and games. There's ups and downs, but good times pass and bad times pass. Do you know what I mean? It's learning and understanding that life. Just get stuck in and get involved. If you've got a calling, or you resonate with anything, just reach out and get stuck in.
Thank you for sharing that, brother. Lovely.
The first thing I'd tell him is the worthy. Speak up, man. I get that it's hard to do, but it's fucking change your life. You know what I mean? It's just speak up and just speak to someone. Message me on Instagram. Message one of the lads. Message Paul. You know what I mean? Fucking please message me any time of day. You know what I mean? I'm always there for a chat. I suppose everyone else is as well, of course, aren't you? Yeah, if you can get involved in like one of the walks that you put on, Paul, or something like that, know what I mean? Come down, and like Adam said, it's not a cult, it's not a fucking, we're not a gang of lunatics, know what I mean? Half maybe, but we're not a complete gang of lunatics, are we? But like, come down on one of the walks and you'll see it's just men leaning on other men and getting advice. Like, I not only get advice off you, but I get advice off Harry, I get advice off Adam, and I know that he's on the end of a phone call any time I want, know what I mean? It's fucking powerful to be part of a group of men, and you talk about male role models in the city, mate. We're surrounded by them, and we're so lucky to be.
Absolutely, brother. No, it's been we're gonna wrap up now, then, fellas. It's been an absolute pleasure for me, and you know, it inspires me to be able to ask you to come on the podcast and share your stories.
It's
an honour.
To know that the effect and you know, the help that's getting passed around the city, you know what I mean, through knowledge and even if you're just helping one man, you know, it absolutely means the world to me to be able to hold this space and bring men on to share their stories and to see the journey that you're all on and the growth that we're all on individually and collectively is fucking incredible, fellas. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Pac-Man for life.
Aho.
I